Keats was one of the younger of the group. He was born to the upper middle class, and he was there. Okay, there were a number of biographies written about Keats, and there are 4 commonalities from the several biographies of Keats, and the 4 are: a highly spirited youth. That was a constant theme. 2, ardent. 3, generous. And 4, a great manager of message. So he was born in 1795. Through his parents' relationships with the Hunts, he became fast friends with Lee, who then introduced him to Byron and a whole other group of people, and Shelley and a whole other group of people. And what was interesting about Keats is that Keats, by the time he reached 10, he was an orphan. His father had died when he was a little bit younger, and his mother died about 10, when he was about 10, and that was about 1810-ish. And his guardian, who was a cousin of his, pronounced him to be a very silly boy, and that stuck with him throughout his life. And to prove his guardian wrong, he began to write. So, say about 11 or 12 years of age. And he didn't stop writing until he stopped writing of course, on his deathbed in 1820. So, we have a wonderful guest and a great friend of mine, who I think you will really enjoy what he has to read. My friend Rob McCabe.
Thank you, Ian. A few years ago, I came across a movie called Bright Star, which focused on the relationship between John Keats and a milliner named Fanny Braun. And this movie was directed by Jane Campion. I don't know how many of you ever saw the movie The Piano, but she's a very wonderful, wonderful filmmaker. And this book here consists of the love letters that John Keats wrote over a long period of time, and a couple of his poems. So I thought I'd start out with the first letter that he wrote to Fanny Braun. Shanklin, Winchester, Westminster. Shanklin, Isle of Wight, Thursday. Postmark, Newport, 3rd July, 1819. My dearest lady, I am glad I had not had an opportunity of sending off a letter which I wrote for you on Tuesday night. 'Twas too much like one out of Rousseau's Heloise. I am more reasonable this morning. The morning is the only proper time for me to write to a beautiful girl whom I love so much. For at night, when the lonely day has closed, and the lonely, silent, unmusical chamber is waiting to receive me as into a sepulchre, then believe me, my passion gets entirely the sway. Then I would not have you to see those rhapsodies which I once thought it impossible I should ever give way to, and which I have often laughed at in another, for fear you should think me either too unhappy or perhaps a little mad. I am now at a very pleasant cottage window, looking unto a beautiful hilly country with a glimpse of the sea. The morning is very fine. I do not know how elastic my spirit might be, what pleasure I might have in living here and breathing and wandering as free as a stag about this beautiful coast, if the remembrance of you did not weigh so upon me. I have never known I have never known any unalloyed happiness for many days together. The death or sickness of someone has always spoilt my hours, and now when none such troubles oppress me, it is you must confess very hard that another sort of pain should haunt me. Ask yourself, my love, whether you are not very cruel to have so entrammelled me, so destroyed my freedom. Will you confess this in a letter you must write immediately, and do all you can to console me in it? Make it rich as a draught of poppies to intoxicate me. Write the softest words and kiss them, that I may at least touch my lips where yours have been. For myself, I know not how to express my devotion to so fair a form. I want a brighter word than bright, a fairer word than fair. I almost wish we were butterflies, and lived but 3 summer days, 3 such days. With you I could fill with more delight than 50 common years could ever contain. But however selfish I may feel, I am not sure I could never act selfishly. As I told you, a day or 2 before I left Hampstead, I will never return to London if my fate does not turn up Pam, or at least a court card. Though I could center my happiness in you, I cannot expect to engross your heart so entirely. Indeed, if I thought you felt so much for me as I do for you at this moment, I do not think I could restrain myself from seeing you again tomorrow for the delight of one embrace. But no, I must live upon hope and chance. In case of the worst that can happen, I shall still love you. But what hatred shall I have for another? Some lines I read the other day are continually ringing a peal in my ears. To see those eyes I prize above mine own, dart favors on another, and those sweet lips yielding immortal nectar, be gently pressed by any but myself. Think, Francesca, what a cursed thing it were beyond expression. J. As a postscript he says, do write immediately. There is no post from this place, so you must address Post Office, Newport, Isle of Wight. I know before the last night I shall curse myself for having sent you so cold a letter, yet it is better to do it as much in my senses as possible. Be as kind as the distance will permit to your J. Keats. Present my compliments to your mother, my love to Margaret, and best remembrances to your brother, if you please so. This correspondence went on for many, many years, and Fanny was engaged to him, but was never allowed to marry him because her mother believed that to marry a poor poet was not a very smart thing to do. So John Keats, dying of consumption. His father died of consumption, his mother died of consumption, his brother died of consumption. He got consumption by nursing his own brother, which I found ironic. So he was sent to Rome to finish out his days. And I'm thinking, okay, this is the last letter he wrote to her, and then I'll read one of his poems. I do not write this till the last, that no eye may catch it. My dearest girl, I wish you could invent some means to make me at all happy without you. Every hour I am more and more concentrated in you. Everything else tastes like chaff in my mouth. I feel it almost impossible to go to Italy. The fact is, I cannot leave you, and shall never taste 1 minute's content until it pleases chance to let me live with you for good. But I will not go on at this rate. A person in health as you are can have no conception of the horrors that nerves and a temper like mine go through. What island do your friends propose retiring to? I should be happy to go with you. They're alone. but in company I should object to it. The backbitings and jealousies of new colonists who have nothing else to amuse themselves is unbearable. Mr. Dilke came to see me yesterday and gave me a very great deal more pain than pleasure. I shall never be able any more to endure the society of any of those who used to meet at Elm Cottage and Wentworth Place. The last 2 years taste like brass upon my palate. If I cannot live with you, I will live alone. I do not think my health will improve much while I am separated from you. For all this, I am averse to seeing you. I cannot bear flashes of light and return into my gloom again. I am not so unhappy now as I should be if I had seen you yesterday. To be happy with you seems such an impossibility. It requires a luckier star than mine. It will never be. I enclose a passage from one of your letters, which I want you to alter a little. I want, if you will have it so, the matter expressed less coldly to me. If my health would bear it, I could write a poem, which I have in my head, which would be a consolation for people in such a situation as mine. I would show someone in love as I am, with a person living in such liberty as you do. Shakespeare always sums up matters in the most sovereign manner. Hamlet's heart was full of such misery as mine as when he said to Ophelia, "Go to a nunnery! Go! Go!" Indeed, I should like to give up the matter at once. I should like to die. I am sickened at the brute world which you are smiling with. I hate men and women more. I see nothing but thorns for the future, wherever I may be next winter, in Italy or nowhere. Brown will be living near with you, his indecencies. I see no prospect of any rest. Suppose me in Rome. Well, I should be there. I should there see you in a magic glass going to and from town at all hours. I wish you could infuse a little confidence of human nature into my heart. I cannot muster any. The world is too brutal for me. I am glad there is such a thing as the grave. I am sure I shall never have any rest till I get there. At any rate, I will indulge myself by never seeing any more. Dilke or Brown or any of their friends, I wish I was either in your arms full of faith or that a thunderbolt would strike me. God bless you. J.K. Now, as I said, Fanny and John were very much in love, and over a series of years they kept a very close, loving correspondence. Unfortunately for us, John Keats's letters that she wrote to John Keats, Fanny wrote to John Keats, mysteriously disappeared. We don't know what happened. Either they were buried with Keats in the coffin in Italy, or some family members had taken it. We don't really know. And I asked Ian about this, and we have not been able to find any information. So all we have are his letters to her. But what beautiful letters they are, what tender, touching words of love he had for her. The last thing I'm going to read is a poem that I believe was for her. Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art. Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor hung aloft at the night, and watching with eternal lids apart, like nature's patient, sleepless eremite, the moving waters at their priest-like task of pure ablution round earth's human shores, or gazing on the new soft fallen mask of snow on the mountain and the moors. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel forever its soft swell and fall, awake forever in the sweet unrest. Still, still to hear tender taken breath, and so live ever, or else swoon to death. Thank you.
John, this dream's where you belong. Your golden